All right, let's dive into the fantastic insights from Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money. In this quick explainer, we're going to unpack a simple but really powerful idea that being good with money has very little to do with how smart you are, and everything to do with how you behave.
So this brings us to a really interesting question, right? We've all heard stories about this. Financial geniuses who end up with nothing, and then, regular people with zero formal training who build amazing fortunes. If it's not about brains, what's the missing piece of the puzzle here? And here's the answer. It's that doing well with money has way less to do with complicated math formulas and way more to do with psychology. It's a soft skill. Your own personal history, your ego, your pride, your fears, they play a much, much bigger role than any spreadsheet ever could.
Okay, so to really get this, we've got to start with one basic truth. Everybody's playing a different money game. Your financial reality is totally unique to you.
We love to think that our financial choices are based on logic and data, but they're almost always driven by emotion. They're shaped by our own personal experiences. Think about it. Someone who grew up with very little is going to see risk completely differently than someone who was born into wealth. We don't make decisions based on what a spreadsheet tells us. We make them based on the stories we've lived.
And our personal stories are also shaped by two huge forces we tend to overlook: luck and risk. Just look at Bill Gates. It was incredible luck that his high school happened to have a computer back in 1968. But his friend Kent Evans, who was just as smart and driven, tragically died in a mountaineering accident before they even graduated. Same skills, same potential, but one random event changed everything. It goes to show you success is never, ever just about hard work.
So if our decisions are emotional and life is full of random chance, what's the goal? Well, it's not to be perfectly rational. That's just impossible for a human. The goal is simply to be reasonable. A pretty good strategy that you can actually stick with is so much more powerful than a perfect one that you abandon when things get weird.
And this brings us to our second big idea: the difference between getting rich and staying rich. They might sound like the same thing, but honestly, they require two totally different mindsets.
Getting rich and staying rich are almost polar opposites. To get rich, you usually need to take risks. You got to be optimistic, put yourself out there. But to stay rich, that takes humility, a little bit of paranoia even. It's the discipline to understand that the bold move that got you here could be the very thing that wipes you out. It's all about survival.
Now, the secret weapon for survival and long-term growth is the most powerful force in finance: compounding. And as Housel says here, the only thing it needs to work its magic is time. You just have to let it do its thing without getting in the way.
Need proof? Just look at Warren Buffett. It's incredible. A whopping 95% of his entire net worth was earned after his 50th birthday. His real superpower wasn't just being a brilliant investor. It was being a brilliant investor for over 75 years. That, right there, is the magic of time.
So how does this magic actually work? Well, it starts with small, consistent investments. Then comes the really, really hard part: being patient and disciplined enough to just leave it alone. If you can manage that, you eventually get to the incredible payoff, that explosive, exponential growth that seems to come out of absolutely nowhere.
So what's the biggest threat to this whole process? Honestly, it's the desire to look rich. Spending your money on fancy cars, designer clothes, all that stuff, it's the fastest way to have less money. Real wealth is the opposite. It's the money you don't spend. It's the income that's been saved and invested, quietly working for you in the background.
You have to remember this. We see the cars people drive, but we don't see their bank statements. We see the big, beautiful houses, but we don't see the crushing debt that might come with them. True wealth is invisible. It's the financial assets that haven't been turned into flashy stuff yet. It's freedom. It's options.
Which brings us to maybe the most important question of all. What is all this wealth actually for? What is its ultimate purpose?
It's not about owning a mansion or a yacht. The real goal, the true definition of wealth, is autonomy. It is the ability to control your own life and, most importantly, your own time. This is hands down the highest dividend money pays. Having enough savings to choose a job with a shorter commute, or to take a few months off if you need to, or to handle a sudden emergency without panicking, that is the real return on your savings. It's independence. But just like anything valuable, this kind of wealth has a price. It's not free. If you want the amazing rewards of the stock market over the long run, you have to be willing to pay the price of admission, which is volatility and uncertainty. You have to see it as a fee, not a fine.
That simple mindset shift helps you stick around long enough to actually see the rewards.
And this really brings it all home. The ultimate form of wealth isn't a number in your bank account. It's a feeling. It's the ability to wake up and have control over your day, to do what you want, when you want, with the people you want. So the question I'll leave you with is this. Are you building a life that just looks rich? Are you building a life that actually feels free?